What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are doing another helpful Dark and Dark video. Matt here from Merly Gaming, and today we're going to talk about damage formulas. Now, there's a formula you can go look up, but I'm talking more of just a very layman, basic understanding how much damage you do. Because it's pretty simple to look at an ability, think about how much damage it's going to potentially do in game, but most people just don't know how to do that. I have here my Barbarian, just in Squire Kit, and if we go to open details on the stats, we'll see I've got, I guess the relevant things to look at here are basically your powers. If you want to understand how much damage you're doing. Physical power, 5%. Magical power, 4%. Physical power is kind of what we're talking about, but this also applies the same to magical power if you're looking at a wizard or something. How much damage am I going to do? I got 5% physical power bonus. Bringing in this War Maul. It does 44 damage with 20% armor pen. So what does that mean for damage? Well, the base damage is just a times 1. So if your physical power is 0, you're just times 1. So if you have 0 physical power, the War Maul just does 44 damage. Now, a 5% or a 5 here in this physical power just means it's going to do 5% more damage. It's really that simple. So you multiply, instead of by 1, you multiply times 1.05 and you'll get a new number that's slightly higher, like 46 or something. I don't know. You can do the math if you want. And we'll get into more examples here in a second. But let's think about what the War Maul is also going to do. It's going to hit somebody, right? And it's going to penetrate 20% of their armor. And what else we got? We don't have anything else really relevant, but you can apply in skill powers and stuff too. So armor pen, what our armor pen is going to do is going to take down people's armor rating from armor. It doesn't take down their PDR. Well, it does, but it doesn't take down, let me see if I can find an example. If you have a piece with PDR on it, like this piece here has 1.4 physical damage reduction. I haven't tested this way, but this was the understanding of it from before. Armor pen doesn't reduce PDR, like flat PDR, like that 1.4 would not get reduced by armor pen. So you got to keep that in mind. It kind of makes that PDR stat a little better because it's like immune to armor pen. I'm pretty sure it's still like that unless they change something, but I don't think they have. We're going to apply the armor pen calculation. We'll say we're hitting someone with, we'll say 25 PDR. Since we have about 25 armor, 20% of that is around 5. So we could effectively subtract 5 from our armor and say we only have 20% reduction since this pen, and you have a new calculation here. Headshot does a bonus damage, and you apply that in the same way. It would just be 450, so if you hit a headshot, you now multiply that by 1.5. So you have kind of just a chain of multipliers going on here that you got to think about. Okay, wizard spells. Let's say we got, let's look at Zap. Zap is a 15 with a 1.0 scalar. That's what that 1.0 means. That means your magic power applies 1-to-1 is all it means. So you just run the same calculation we were doing with that War Maul, except with magic power instead. Now, if it has a 0.5 or a scalar that's not 1, okay, let's look at the burn from Zap. Like that's a 0.5. So basically you take the same calculation, but you only use half your magic power. This also applies to add magical and add physical. Let's take, for example, let's look at the Zap, all right? Let's say we have 0 magical power and 5 add. So since this is a 1.0 scalar, it will just directly add that 5 damage, taking Zap to 20 damage if you just have 5 add and still 0. The burn will do 1 with a 0.5 scalar. So if you have 5 add magical damage on that 1, it's going to half it. So you're going to get about a 3.5 burn off of that. So you can add all that together and get your full damage. The add is just a flat add based on that scalar that the item receives, or the ability, spell, whatever it is. If it's not 1.0, you just got to scale it down. And the magic power goes the same. So if you're doing 15 damage here and you got 10 magic power, it's going to be 15 times 1.1. What is that? That'd be like 16.5 or something, right around there. What you'll notice is the higher the base damage is, the more magical power matters, right? Because look at Fireball. Dealing 30 damage with a 1.0 direct. That applies a 1.0 scaling to your magical power and your add magical. With your magical power, it multiplies by the 30. Like, let's say you have 10 magical power here again. 30 times 1.1 yields a bigger increase than 15 times 1.1. That makes sense. It's like going to be double basically. So Fireball is going to scale better with magical power. Zap is going to scale better with Add. So the higher the base number, the more important the high physical power or magical power is. That's why Barbarians hit like a truck, because the harder they hit, the harder they hit. And they already have high damage weapons. I don't know if it's a great formula for the game in the long run, but that is how it is. That's why damage does tend to get out of control in one shot, is because once the number's high enough on the base and high enough, then physical power just applies even more, or magical power in this case applies even more. I think they probably need to be a little more careful at how high they make the top end, but this is why really good weapons, or really high-end weapons, uniques, and artifacts, is why they're so valuable, because they have a high top end, so they're going to hit really hard off the rip. Alright, well, I think that about covers it for the magic damage. I think I've explained everything that I basically can about how the reduction works. The way I talked about physical damage reduction, it applies exactly the same for the magical damage reduction. So you can kind of run those rough numbers quickly in your head, or write them down, or punch them through a calculator if you want. It should work. I hope you learned something from this video, maybe got a little something out of it, a little understanding of how this stuff works on just like a very layman level, where you don't have to think about the formula too much. You just kind of be like, oh, 30 times 1.1. And then, you know, you can calculate in the reduction if you want by doing a 1 minus and then times that new percent. Like if that fireball were to hit someone and then they got 31% reduction, you're going to multiply by 0.682. So they take, basically they end up taking the other percentage of the damage, if that makes sense. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Good luck out there.